as you consider that 26, that's my age. Okay, so at times I consider that I'm still young, but when I started classes this week and I was having students who were 17, well, I stopped believing that I am still that young. Okay, so well, that general information about me. Now, before we start, well, I would like to ask you, for you, what are some of the characteristics of this present time? Well, this sort of strange time we are living in. So could you please like type there in the chat some of the characteristics that we are having now? How would you define this present time? Because well, we need to set this conversation in what we are living. Okay, so Chris is saying digital times. Okay, thank you, Chris. Yes, for example, right now we are using Zoom to interact. We are getting to know a little bit about each other here. Okay, innovation, full of uncertainty. Okay, Juan Carlos, thank you for sharing that. Moments of change, interaction, tons of work. I do agree with you, Aleida. Kind of solitude, said Jair. Okay, thank you, Jair. TikTok lifestyle time. Okay, so maybe, well, we can also learn about TikTok, changes in interaction, new mindset. Okay, here in Asocopic, we have had the chance to look at different presentations. For example, I remember that one about the growth mindset, for example, or gamification, or Carlo talking about the colonial perspective towards education. So the time is complex, yeah? So from my perspective, I would say that we are living right now a suspended time, okay? Now people start calling it the new normality. However, I think that this is not normal at all, okay? And we cannot consider that this time is a normal time, yeah? I prefer to call it a suspended time, okay? So what we used to have radically changed, okay? Now it is different. Now the experience is different from what we used to have, like in our schools, in the universities, in our daily interactions. So I would prefer to call it a suspended time. Now here we also have an interesting question, and it is the place where we live the place where we work, or the opposite? The place where we work, the place where we live. I consider this is relevant as there are blurred lines, okay? So maybe we are next to our bed, for example, or maybe we are having all our family, and our family didn't stay with us, for example, in our works, at job. So somebody's saying there, Brian is saying both. So notice that it radically changed, yeah? So all of a sudden, we are living in the place where we work, if we can. There are people who also have to go out, yeah, to be on the streets selling products, for example. But in our case, as teachers, I think that it is both. So it also takes us to a different perspective towards our identity, towards what we do as teachers, okay? So here we have another reflection. We are living now a sort of tension between the institutions. By institutions, I mean, of course, the places where we work, but also the impositions or the guidelines of the ministries of education, for the Minister of Education or the other ministries here in Colombia. Also about these agents, for example, and by agents, I mean teachers, students, families, and the societies, yeah? So there is a constant tension there. There are demands coming from the students. There are also demands coming for the teachers. The society is expecting something, yeah. The vaccine, for example, in the case of the COVID, like resources, and this is like in a constant tension, yeah. So these are some of the characteristics of the present time. So Marilu said, I don't really know whether I am living in my place of work. There is a lot of work to do, yeah. So this is the time we are living in. And of course, in the case of Colombia, inequalities, violence, conflicts, yeah, they are there, they have been all the time there. And we know, unfortunately, this is the context we are living in. And of course, Jair said before, a time of solitude, yeah? So the self, like the inner self, may be in crisis, okay? In a period of reflection, yeah? So we are being challenged all the time because of these particular conditions. So what is there is that at the same time is an opportunity, yeah, for us to build new things, yeah, to dream about other ways of educating people, to have the chance to interact in a different way as we are doing right now. Yeah, there are maybe people from different places in the world or in the country, yes, overseas. So it's interesting to have some ideas about it. Okay, so these are some characteristics, as I said before, but there may be many more. Now, in this scenario, I would say that we, as teachers, we are funambulist. okay? Or some people may call it tightrope walkers, as we are trying to continue, yes, like straightforward in what we were doing before, but we are not so, well, like we are at risk, yes, and we are balancing all the time, the pros, the cons, the demands of the institutions, our beliefs, yes, our desires, the difficulties, our families, yeah. So we are living there, and this is like a particular condition of this time. So I would say that now we are funambulist, yeah. So we have a mission, like to cross, like to pass from one place to the other, but it is being challenging, okay? So I would say that we are living under these conditions of being a funambulist. Yeah, we as teachers and of course, families and students as well. Now, um, if I tell you ePortfolios, which ideas come to your mind when you think about English, for example? We're going to be joining here, ePortfolios plus EFL. So please type one word there in the chat that comes to your mind when you think about English, because this is also an exercise I always do. So we're going to start linking these like particularities of the present time, the suspended time, as I said, with what it means to be teaching or learning English. All right, so here we have alternative assessment, evidence of process, memories, learning experience, collective portfolios, personal process. Okay, so here you're linking the issues about the portfolios, how to do them, okay? And do you have maybe other words when you think about English? In this case, well, collection of artifacts, personal reflection, language competence growth. Okay, Juan Carlos, thank you for sharing that. Well, I'm reading my phone, I'm also seeing the screen, so that's why. Rubrics of evaluation, okay. Making thinking visible, all right. It's also curriculum, okay. Empires language. So Diana Cruz, well, nice to see you here, Diana. Diana is working now in Africa, I think. And well, empires, the language of the empire, yeah, that idea. Intercultural exchange. All right, so we may have different ideas about this. And I'm gonna share with you some of the words on this word cloud that my students had this week, okay, when I asked them about English, yeah, so when you see English or when you think about English, yeah, which are the reflections or which are the aspects? So here you can see, for example, some of their ideas. Universal language, travel, funny, international, okay? Those that are bigger are the most common words, like somebody repeated those words. Special, difficult, United States, fear. Notice that there is not only about this sort of extrinsic motivation that we may have, yeah, but also intrinsic motivation and also feelings. Notice that there is fear, for example. Fear is one of the experiences that we may have when we are learning a language, yes, no matter what is the language, yes, but we may experience fear, for example, yeah, happiness as well. So this is what my students were thinking when they heard English. In a different group, notice it changes a little bit, but it's also interesting to notice. So for example, music, movies, we know that the industries, like all these industries produce a lot in English, yes. So music, globalization, movies, opportunities. There is this idea, well, with a colleague, with Diego Castrigen, we have discussed this about English being an opportunity. Maybe it is, maybe it is not. Maybe that's a sort of idea that is reproduced and stereotyped as well, yeah. Communication worldwide and so on. So all of these reflections are the ones that my students are having. Nowadays, you said go beyond borders. Heart may be related to English, yeah. So again, here we have fear, for example, yeah. Dictionary, maybe in the past, that was a very common word. If I ask maybe my teachers or my parents about English, they would say, well, dictionary, yes, in a different period. Well, dictionaries were absolutely important in our classes. Yeah, still they are important, yes, but at time, everybody, I remember, for example, being at the school and taking the dictionary to the school, yeah, and the teacher, do you have your dictionary? Yes, okay, a tick for you. So maybe you also live that experience. Now, some considerations, like to put this together, the context, considerations about English, and some like aspects about the portfolio before getting into the experiences. So here you have some ideas, yeah, like you can read them as well. And as you said, they are a collection or a compilation of works and reflections. Yeah, that's part of the portfolios. Yes, like this is not new. I mean, long time ago we started working on portfolios, but they were like sort of folders. Yeah, like pieces of paper. Yes, drawings and all of that. That's there. Now the difference here is that we have this electronic portfolio. Yes, or digital portfolio, in which they can take a format. Yeah, it could be electronic, such as audiovisual material, graphical videos, recordings. Yeah, so we can maybe take a multimodal perspective towards understanding these portfolios. Other important insights are that portfolios are focused on learning. Yeah, so this is absolutely important. Yeah, because what matters is what students do on their classes. Yeah, their learning process, what they learn from what they write. Okay, and how they can also develop. Yeah, if we are developing skills, if we are thinking about competence as well. It depends on each one of the contexts, right? And they are part of a learning process. Yeah, so the portfolios are not all in the class. They are not going to be solving all our difficulties. They are not going to be telling us what to do all the time, but they are part of a bigger process. Yes, and they are not a result of it. Yeah, we will have some products at the end. Yeah, as you're going to see. But what matters here is that they develop. Well, the process is developed in some stages. Yes, and students participate actively. There are other possibilities. Yeah, we can also do that when we are teaching. So for example, we can develop critical thinking. Yeah, you're going to see some also insights about, for example, autonomy. Yeah, self-regulation is going to be there. So portfolios are useful for that. Okay, so here you have some characteristics. At the end, I will provide some of the references for you to have. Other aspects that we may find about the portfolios: students are considered thinkers and doers. Yeah, you may say, well, Felipe, this is clear. At times it is not that. I mean, and it's important to make it explicit. Yeah. At times we are having tons of activities in our classes, but it is necessary to say, hey, you are a doer here, you are thinking here. Okay. So that's going to be important. We can also blend information. Yeah. So in this particular case, we are blending language, English, technological uses or digital skills, if you want to call them, and different domains of knowledge. Yeah, so portfolios are not only, okay, we are going to create a portfolio about present simple. No, that's not the purpose. Yeah, we can use present simple, but talking about a different topic, theme of interest of our students. Yeah, they can also be understood as tools for career preparation or job search. Yeah, so at times we have these professional portfolios. And it is, for example, if I am a visual artist, so I put all my production together and I have it and I present it if I am applying for a job, for example. That's common in arts or in photography, yeah? But in our classes, we can also create some portfolios. And they can be linked to, for example, project-based learning, yeah, PBL, as you know. And this is to some extent like the sort of approach that I follow in our classes. Assessment is going to be important, yeah. ePortfolios are used as a way to assess people throughout a semester, throughout a period. And what is interesting here is that they can be developed in a better way if they have institutional support. At times, institutions just want us to do things, yeah, but they do not support us, yeah. So if it's part of a guideline of our institution, if it is supported, if it's projected, we may have better results, okay, at the end of the day with our process. So as I said before, these are some general characteristics about portfolios. You may add more. You already mentioned some others in the previous questions. Now, another question that I would like to ask you. Our classroom, yes, and I used a parenthesis here on purpose, yeah? So how has it changed? What can you say about this one? What can you type there in the chat? How has our classrooms changed in recent months? So what can you say? Which ideas do you have about this radical change, I could say, that we are experiencing now? So let me see your comments here on my phone. So what can you say? Is it the same classroom? Is it different? Well, somebody's saying interaction changed, okay. Flipped ones, say Lisette, no, say Juan Carlos. Full tech tools, okay, yes, they are there all the time. It's expanded to a screen. Well, we wouldn't say, I don't know if it is expanded or if it is reduced. Maybe it's expanded or maybe it is reduced. Customizable, okay, we flip more. Change of place, evaluation has changed, okay. More work, yeah, we are being insisting this fact, yes. So before we had, well, Could be like this, could be different, could be bigger, could be smaller, could be without windows, yes, with more technological devices. Maybe in a rural area, it may look different. But to some extent, this was a sort of classroom, yeah, before. So maybe, well, the teacher here sitting on a desk, probably on the front, yeah, and here students or people interacting. So for example, in this classroom, I was close to Marilu, maybe to Aleida, and we were together, we were in the same place. So I don't know if you have experienced that, but before, even if we were there, we knew that there were people in the classroom, yes? For example, if I just stay in silence right now, like this, yeah, you're going to feel strange. Yes, because you're feeling alone in the place where you are, maybe, and you are, well, I am not listening to you. I am not interacting with you. Before, like being on the same at the same place, our bodies were together. So we interacted to each other a little bit, okay? Or I knew that my friend was there, that I could ask him something, yeah? Nowadays we can't. We use the chat to interact, like a simultaneous interaction that has changed. Before we couldn't do that, maybe sending like pieces of paper, but it has radically changed, yeah? So things about space have changed, yeah, about body language, yes. Now you can only see me sitting down on a chair and my face and my hands maybe. And well, the conditions, yeah, having a board, now it is online, well, so this is how it was. Now, our classroom and room, maybe because we are in our bedroom, yes, so may look like this, yes, a computer, a cell phone, as I am doing right now. I'm having the phone and also having the computer, a desk, maybe, coffee somewhere, glasses, the mouse, objects, yes. And we are in front of that computer, guiding our lessons, teaching, guiding the processes, and using whether Zoom, Meet, Teams, yeah, but we are not at the same place. So it has radically changed, yeah. So also it implies changing the roles that we had. Lots of coffee, said Natalia. Yeah, definitely. Many hours in front of the computer. Maybe we are now more tired when we finish our classes. So it changed. It has changed. Okay, so we need to face this. How? Well, this is a possibility. And in addition, because I don't want to like ignore the realities of our country, we know these news, for example, there are some, but we can find tons of them. Like, yes, like rural education is not the same as we know as the urban education, yes, and they are facing many more problems. Yes, the government is trying to, okay, connectivity everywhere, but we know that there are places in which we do not have energy, yes, in which there is no water supply, for example, and children trying to continue studying. This is not my field of expertise, so I have worked in regions at times, but we know that the conditions in our country change a lot, and not only here in Colombia, also overseas, but it is there. So our system of education may to some extent exclude some people, yes, those who do not have access, those who are not paying, I don't know, internet connection or Wi-Fi, or who do not have a phone. So our system is doing this right now. Now, what was the learning experience? And this is what I would like to share with you. So before, I just provided like some generalities about the context and about the changes, because these experiences started once the government said, okay, all the universities, all the schools need to be closed. So there we started thinking, okay, what to do now? So this is the context and these are the participants. The context are people from the National University here in Bogota, two programs that the university has, Explore el Mundo and Intensive English Program. Okay, so in general terms, they are undergraduate or postgraduate students, okay, from different programs, different majors, different interests as well, okay. Now we changed, yeah, we are not anymore in the classroom. We changed to our rooms to be part of a class, yeah. Their level varies, like a 2B2 level, okay. Academic writing and academic speaking are like the main interests of this program. Students also had their interests, motivations, different motivations and needs. And of course, as we said before, we are facing personal situations all the time, yeah? Emotional situations, difficulties, technological issues. We started the semester there in the university and it turned, okay? It changed, it switched to this new reality. So before the program had exams and all of that, so the coordinators decided to propose some projects to lead in our classes. So I was teaching 2 courses there at this university, and one of the projects was about this. writing these text typologies, synopsis, and reviews, okay? And here you see a map of different topics that students could develop, yeah? For example, you see movies, sports, art, music, and so on. So the coordinators provided us, coordinators were Nora and Professor Joanna Vera, they provided us with these, and we, as teachers, we were able to do, we were expected to create a portfolios using these topics. So what did we do? These are the stages that they follow. Maybe you can apply these in your own schools, yes, in the processes that you are guiding. Even if they are here like presented in a sort of order, you can vary them, yeah? And they are not, they may be overlaps in the process of doing this, okay? So we started with a process of selection. Here you saw possible topics. So our students started selecting them, okay? Then we started the phase of production, like specifically writing and speaking. Yes, those were the skills, as we traditionally called them, that we wanted to develop. We continued with a process of correction or an editing process in which we checked the texts, yeah? We checked the recordings, the issues about some audios they had there, and we did it like back and forth all the time. Yes, at times there were students, well, teacher, I wanted to work on this project and now I changed, I have a new topic. So this is like going back and forth all the time. Then after this process, we had a period to share in small groups what we have done individually. Yes, sharing the groups in small groups in the class. I'm talking about more than 25 students in a class. In a group I had, I think that 33 or so, and the other one was about 25, 26. So we started sharing in small groups. Then there was a process or a stage about posting, sharing online. You will see the examples in a second. So it was not simply about, okay, we have these products, because we as teachers, we do a lot in our classes, but I do consider that sharing is absolutely important, okay? So this possibility that we are having here at Asocopy is great, like to share what my colleagues have done, the previous webinars, what the others are going to be doing in the coming ones is important, yeah? It's about posting and socializing with others. So spreading the word about what we did. So these were some of the stages that we followed on that process. So here you have an example. Maybe you can use this model or you can adapt it based on your needs, also on the interest of your students. So we have chosen a particular topic, okay, a field of interest, and maybe a subfield. Yeah, so I don't know, I'm interested in art. Okay, but what specifically about art? Okay, so well, Hispanic art, okay, or pre-Hispanic period art. Okay, good, that is the specific one. As I said, we can develop critical thinking. Yeah, so for developing critical thinking, the questions about why and the purpose are absolutely important. So why did you choose that topic? The topic comes out of the interest of our students. Yeah, we have a map. You can decide where to go, but they are the ones who are going to decide which one is going to suit their interests. Yeah, so for example, this one. And then we started finding information about these topics. Title of documents, type of document. Yeah, here we are, well, we were considering, or I took a perspective that a text is more than having just words together on a piece of paper, yes? So it may be videos, films, for example, songs, pieces of art, and so on. So they started selecting these different types of document, and again, reasons about why they have chosen a particular one, what were the ideas behind a particular selection. So they were writing here some insights, and it was going to be useful for them to defend, yeah, like to argument here, like to give arguments about their choices. So this was like the first stage that we followed. So this was like the first part. Then we continued like writing, yes, as it was online and as it was intended to be an ePortfolio. So we started writing like this. So you have a particular document, okay, so book, great. Now, as I said before, we were expected to write synopsis and reviews, or to have audios and recordings about them. So they chose the typology. I would like to do a synopsis, or I would like to do a review. And then they started writing the text. If you see, well, this is a process. So maybe it's behind this is a constructivist perspective, maybe. And also, we were intended to develop the process. Yeah, so as I said before, portfolios have a process. So it was not all of a sudden, okay, we have this week and we are going to do it right now as the time is well, we need to do things in our class. No. So it started from a process, and we follow that process throughout the period. Okay, so they continued writing. Here you can see well, a screenshot I took from, well, we were using the Google Suite. So we compiled all these documents on a drive. So we had the chance to, for example, read each other's texts. Yeah, so I had access to these documents that we could edit them online. Yeah, so for example, selecting the process of writing, we were able to listen to the different audios, and all of us had access to the materials or to the writings of everyone. So in the group that they had 26, maybe, all of us were able to check this specific project, so all the documents were organized. Yeah, so when creating portfolios, organization is key. Yeah, like that we can follow the process for our students, we can track what they are doing, and it is going to be very, very useful. So we have this. Now, having said this, I'm going to show you now two possible perspectives or two results, yeah, about developing ePortfolios, like considering these elements that I just presented. So here is one. We decided to develop a website. So I can maybe later in the question section, I can copy the link of the website. And this website was created collectively. So before we had all of this material was created, the process of selection, of correcting, of recording, of writing, and so on. And one of our students, you will see him in a second, Jonathan is studying systems engineering. Well, I have his consent well, to share these materials that I am presenting here. So Jonathan said, well, why not to create, for example, an online place in which we can compile all our pieces of work? Yeah, so remember, it's in the university, the students have different skills, different programs, and we agreed on that. So we said, okay, great, let's do it. So Jonathan, with the help of some of his classmates, was developing this website and creating this website. So it was an opportunity for him, not only for, well, developing English skills, yes, but also for like putting into, like connecting what he's doing in his undergraduate program with what we were doing in the class. So you are going to see that all the students have a profile here. So they have a brief description about them, okay? And they also have a picture, some of them included. And they also have a recording. Yes, as we were developing writing and speaking, we worked on a process of recording aspects linked to the specific selections that they have made, okay? So they were able to create these plays. Now, what are the topics? You may see, well, Felipe, which were the topics? We also, as we are funambulists, right? So maybe in an old paradigm, we used to have the control of everything. Yes, like I'm controlling every single detail. In this case, and following this perspective, no, we are not doing that. Yes, we are facilitating maybe. We are guiding some processes, but it is going to be different. So they decided some topics like this ones. Here, I'm just like showing you a sample, but there are many more. About 16 different categories. For instance, gender-based violence, industrial design, land disputes, landscape architecture, movies. So as you can see, the topics vary a lot, but this is material produced in Colombia, in Bogota, in our classes, and that is available online. So maybe, I don't know, if you are studying in a particular, or teaching, for example, in a particular place that you are addressing issues about gender, so maybe you can have a look at the synopsis and the reviews that one of my students wrote. So this is going to be like very, very interesting. The fact of sharing with other people what we do in our classes. So here you have an example. I think that Joanna is here. I saw her name before. So nice to see you here as well, Joanna. And she decided to work on this perspective of gender violence. So she looked at films, books, personal experiences as well, and she shared that with the community. So here you have an example, The Color Purple. This is a book and also a film by Alice Walker that you may know. So here she's addressing her reflections about this topic, about gender. He is writing about this particular text, okay? And is putting it like available for everybody to read. So it's interesting. So here you have an example. You will find many more. Each student worked a little bit on about 7, 8, yeah, synopsis and reviews in total. So you can find them online. And they also recorded, as I said before, some audios. So that's going to be available also for you. Yes, I invite you to have a look at it. If you find it useful, well, you can use it. So this one's one of the perspectives. Yes. The other one, on the other group that I had, like, we decided to work in a different way. So here was this sort of collective work, we putting all the information together, designing a website, programming, like learning about how to post, because, well, it requires also a process in the class. And the other option that I developed was this one. In this case, we decided to use like a personal portfolio, yeah? So each student decided to create his or her own in the classes. So here you have like some samples. On the one hand, here we have Luis Felipe, and Luis Felipe decided to work on painters' mental disorders. So that was his topic of interest. So he decided to address this one. So he created his portfolio collecting issues about painters, yeah? So pretty interesting. Well, we can learn a lot about this. So he was writing, he was speaking about the topic, he was reading texts linked to it. He also included some videos. So that's available there. Now, another of my students, Nicolas, he decided to work on tennis. Yeah, so he's interested in sports. So he decided to have a look at sports like in around the world, not only in Colombia, but like different sports. And he decided to create a sort of magazine, we may call it. Yeah, so we can have a look at it. He designed it. Well, of course, as somebody was saying before, there are many technological tools available online. Most of them are free. Others, well, we need to pay for that, for using them, but it was there. So he decided to create this, and it's going to be, well, interesting as well. And in addition to that, as I was like presenting, they also were recording audios. Yes, it's not only about writing, but it's also about speaking. So here on the left, you see a description, okay, done by Valeria, and Valeria decided to address the topic of series, Netflix series. So she really likes watching television and watching series. So she decided to work a little bit about it. So she wrote about this particular topic. We learned a lot. For example, maybe some of you, or in my case, for example, I'm not that much into watching series. So, well, we learned a lot about it, like by her writing process and her recording. So this was there. And another case, this is the case of Laura Daniela. It's quite interesting because Laura Daniela is studying linguistics at the National University, but she decided to like investigate a little bit, or to have a look at the topic of forests, yes, and the different type of forests. So it's great because we are not only paying attention to our undergraduate programs, but we are also linking it with other issues. I think that at times, well, this was an advantage of having a population at a university, yes, like from different programs. But I think that it happens quite like in a sort of similar way in our classes. Even if they are all maybe doing, for example, 6th grade or 4th grade, I don't know, or teens in the same level, each one of them has particular interests, yes? Even if they are wearing a uniform, for example, they may have some perspectives towards a particular topic. And we have to like maybe give them the possibility to share about all these issues and all about these possibilities, yeah? So we tend to standardize, to homogenize a little bit, but what this like sort of process that like we followed shows is that we learn a lot more when we have this perspective, yes, like a variety of perspectives. Maybe somebody could say the thinking outside the box, maybe, or pensamiento de la fuera, yeah, like this is the term that we may use. So here you have some experiences like about the same topic, portfolios as well, ePortfolios available online, all of them created through a semester, well, like about 4 months, 3 months in an academic semester. So they are available there for you, and some insights, some stages. Now, because I would like to like listen to you and to share a little bit, to interact with you. So some insights, okay, like that can be useful for developing a similar process. Individual and teamwork can be fostered following this, okay? If we design a project, yes, and in our project we would like to develop portfolios as a final project, for example, that's going to be great, okay? So that's possible, and we can have it like in an individual work or in a teamwork. The topics of interest, they are absolutely important as they develop argumentation. Yes, those skills that maybe by just simply filling the gaps or solving a traditional grammar exercise, they are not going to be developed. So by doing this, so it's going to be great. We are going to have a development in different levels. Yeah, for example, on the personal level, yes, on the professional level, if it is the case, on the different skills of English, if we're thinking about skills, that's going to be possible. It's not simply about, okay, putting together all these um, pieces of paper, all these writings. No, it's about developing other issues. It may foster as well autonomy. Why? Students were able to decide what to do. I didn't say, well, your text is this one, your video is that one. No. So they were able to look for look for information, find resources, share them with others. So that's great. We can have also like this relationship between the process and the product. When portfolios are thinking like under the scope of assessment, they focus on the process. But as I said, it is also important to share with people the final results or the product that comes out of this process. Self-reflection. We also developed throughout our process writing like sort of journal entries, yes, about the class, but also about what was going on the projects. So it's interesting to see, like, to track all the process. I invited them, for example, at the end, okay, we have been working on this throughout this month, so please go to your first self-reflection and read it and follow it. So it's interesting, yes. How am I learning, for example? What is better for me? Do I prefer, I don't know, watching videos, reading texts, listening up to a podcast? Yeah, so this is going to be absolutely important in our case. This one, and this is a challenge that we are living now, yeah, because of the conditions of the classroom, yes. We need to be developing maybe self-regulated learning. This is also a decision, like a personal decision, yes. I see that here we are about more than 60 people, but you are not next to me. If we were in a conference, I would have been able to see you there, like sitting down, yes, like taking notes, like, thinking, wanting to comment and so on. But here we can't. So this is also an opportunity for them to, and for us as well, to be self-regulated learners. We can also provide feedback. Okay, feedback can be developed, as you know, by peers or by the teacher. They were able to read like in pairs and comment, okay, give some insights. And like the teacher, in this case, Felipe, so like it's me, I was also able to comment on that. And we do have all the advantages of the web, yeah, web 2.0, 3.0, and so on. All the resources are available online, all the tools. I remember right now, one of the previous presenters shared like a wheel with different resources available online at Shared Unica. So that's there and that's available for us to do. We decide, so we can dream, okay? And I'm sure that with the help of our students, we can develop it in a like amazing way. So if we plan to do it, we can do it. And the list goes on, yeah? So here are some of the insights that I can mention. Now, I also have to like tell like some aspects that we need to consider like in detail, and we need to be careful with them, like a sort of alert for us. The amount of documents and the amount of audios. That was enormous. So for me to provide feedback to each one of the documents, to each one of the audios was not possible, okay? So we also need to consider some strategies here. Right now, I remember Professor Aldemar Alvarez, who said, well, you can say, well, now I'm going to choose 5 audios or 5 documents, and I will provide feedback to those. And you can also work on peer feedback and so on. So this is one of the aspects that we need to consider, yes? As the portfolios compile information of different sources, like different types of documents, we also need to be careful with the quantity, yeah? We have this discussion about quantity and quality, but I think that it's important to practice, yeah? Maybe the more we practice, the better we get at specific activities, yeah? The opportunity to socialize with others. So I'm glad to be here sharing with you this. This is an experience, a classroom experience, right? Because this is what we need to do. We need to build like sort of community of practice, or community of ELT teachers who share what we are doing, yeah, to put them available. So that's important, yeah. So we can take ideas. Maybe you say, well, no, Felipe, I think that this is not useful. Okay, well, so maybe you can improve it, you can change it, you can modify. So that's going to be important. We also need to think about how to continue and how to adapt all of this, how to adapt this for a different scenario, yeah. How to face impositions, for example. We were using books, and maybe you use books, So we need to, well, the book may be useful, but maybe as Professor Nunez presented before, we can create local materials. So these are local materials, and these may be useful for a class, for example. All these impositions, northern impositions of the Common European Framework, for example, the publishing houses, or the test, that testing, yeah? So we need to face them. And at the same time, we need to like open the perspective. Yes, it's not simply about doing what is mandatory to do, yeah, to be done, but also like creating and dreaming with our students. So we also have this question. I have seen it here, like in our sessions, about areas without connectivity. That's hard, but from what I know, for example, I remember now Radio Sutatensa and that experience, in which radio can be a possibility. In Cauca, for example, this is a good way. We can also take advantage of crafting, for example. Maybe it's not going to be having access on an online computer, having internet connection all the time, yes, but maybe we can provide instructions. Even here in Bogota, I know teachers who are calling all the time students, like they do not have internet, for example, so they call. Hey, how are you doing? Please, let's work on this, let's work on that. We will meet again, I will call you again during this week. So that's a possibility. We can guide, okay, as I said before, we are funambulist. In this case, so we need to keep the balance right there. But at the same time, it's an opportunity to be more open and also to give our students the possibility to create, to think about this. All right. So here, well, you have some of the reference that they have used about portfolios. Portfolios are not only used in the English class, for example, but they are like developing different programs. Different universities are taking it seriously. Yeah, like developing projects about this. And I just would like to end so like that. Yes, there's a 10, 15 minutes, so I think I right on time. So I do consider that learning and teacher are about sharing, okay? So here I'm sharing with you, yeah? So I'm sharing my experience. I'm sharing with you what I lived, what we experienced with my students. I learned a lot, okay? I learned about the different topics that they have chosen. It was also interesting to me how to teach, how to radically change, how to adapt from being in the university to this emergency remote teaching, or well, virtual, well, it's not virtual education, but well, education mediated by technology, for example. So this was great for me, and it was an amazing opportunity to think about it. So I do believe that if we are here is because we want to continue doing this, we want to continue sharing, we want to learn from our colleagues and to be open. I know about fantastic experiences. So now take advantage, post them, share them, I don't know, send them a link, participate in the ASOCOP events and all the events that are coming. So, well, this is like the last reflection I want to have here to share with you today. And well, so thank you very much. So if you have any questions, comments, contributions, counter arguments, all of this is welcome. Here you also have my email if you want me to, like, I can share with you some other material. I will post here the link, okay, about for you to check the website. Okay, and I'm also working on a project. I also like kind of creating a YouTube channel. I have uploaded some videos in which you can see some other projects that they have conducted with children and also with teenagers, yes, and university students. So you may see other experiences there if you want to have a look at them. Experiences about, for example, creating books in the classroom, creating film minute, as we say in French, and creating handcrafts and robots and so on. I don't know if Diego Castellon here, he has worked a lot on that. Well, so I invite you to check them out, to contribute, to participate, and I think that we can open the mics now to interact a little bit. And yeah, so Jair, you can help us with this a little bit.
All right, there is no problem. Yes, of course. So we are open, and of course we still have some time. Thank you very much, Felipe, for your presentation. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting, of course, because as I said before, these are some practices that we can actually give it a try to replicate. So as you could see, there were also some comments there in the chat. So most of them were just like commenting along your presentation, and I don't see any questions so far. But I do have one. I would like to know, in regards to assessment, how was the process of assessment in this in your case?
Okay, well, so we had a discussion there, like in the university, as you know, it radically changed. So like at the very beginning, the university said, well, we are not taking grades right now. We are not considering grades. I'm talking here about
Mhm.
grades, yeah? Assessment goes beyond that, I know it. So what we decided to do, I told them, well, do not worry about it. So what we are going to do is we're going to continue the process. So I tried to track a little bit individual processes, okay? The experiences that they were having, they're creating their portfolios. Peer feedback was absolutely important. My comments as teacher were important. And at the end, what we had was a sort of dialogical assessment. Okay, so I met with each one of my students, I talked to them, and I said, okay, let's see your process. What were your strengths? Maybe what were your difficulties? Which aspects do you consider you need to improve? And it became that, like a process of talking with each other all the time, socializing our difficulties. Maybe teacher, I have tons of work to do, so I'm a little bit behind the other group, like, but I want to continue working on this. Maybe teacher, I made a bad selection here, so this is a book and it has 500 pages, and how am I going to read this? So it was throughout the process. So the assessment focused on the process. For the evaluating the portfolios at the end, we had a socialization. I didn't include it here, but we had a time to socialize with all the students and also with other groups of teachers. And well, they presented it to like a small audience there in the university. They received comments from them. They also received my comments. And we also use a rubric of evaluation. Yeah, so I didn't include it here, but some rubrics were used to assess a little bit like the process throughout the semester. So I would like emphasize on that, the possibility of getting peer feedback, the possibility of sharing with others all the time, the possibility of getting comments like coming from me as the teacher, the dialogical issue there, and not being worried about grades. That's fantastic. And
Yes.
using rubrics, yes, like to have a sort of fair process throughout the semester. So I think that those were some of the elements that I can like remember right now.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, of course, for your answer. And here we have some comments and some questions as well. So Natalia says she's interested in getting to know a little bit more about the process of during the creation of the portfolio. Another question is here, if you have ever assessed deaf students who are learning EFL. Another question is, I would like to know more about the process of writing, checking, and conferencing while building the portfolio itself. And Marilu also agrees with you that actually what matters is the process, and the rubrics to peer assess are important. And another question is, do you consider the language level of the group is an important factor that could lead or not to success in these type of projects? So there you have like 4 questions to think about. Maybe you could give like a global answer.
All right, good, good. Yeah, so thank you for your questions and for your comments as well. Natalia, well, feel free to contact me and we can keep talking about this. About deaf students, no, I haven't had that experience at Helica. I'm learning right now lengua de señas colombiana, LSC. So I'm learning, I have never assessed this, so I'm not an expert on that field. About the process, yes. So as I said, and I think it's Marta, the one who is asking about that particular issue, the process that they follow and the process of writing. Yeah. So well, you know that there are different perspectives like about writing. Yeah, if we are concentrating on the process, a process approach. I think that they used a process approach in this case. So let me go to the slides in which you can check it. So what they did was, okay, writing is a process as learning any language, yes, and writing opposite talking is a skill we develop. So we are born without knowing how to write, for example, yes. By being in a family, for example, we develop the ability to speak, but writing is a process. So we started taking here this selection process. I'm one of those who consider that the mother tongue, in this case, the L1, no matter which one is that one, but if it is for example, Spanish is absolutely important, yes? Because when we are developing writing with this kind of population, university students, they already know about writing and how to write, so they have knowledge there. What we need to do is to try to like transport or take what they already know in the L1 to the L2. Yeah, so this is a possibility. So that's what I did. To some extent, we try to do that. Then we need, well, we can check issues about register, style, punctuation, capitalization, grammar. Well, all of that is developed through that process. So we started writing short text, for example. First of all, the ideas, why this topic, why that topic, okay? Then they had the opportunity to write short text. Oh, at times I gave specific instructions, okay? So this text is going to have about a specific amount of words, also because I needed to check, like to have a look at them. And then this process of correction and editing was developed by peers and also by me. So at times we may say, well, but they are not experts on this field, but they know, yeah? So they can collaborate, they can work collaboratively to improve the writings. So this was part of this process. Once we have done through this, as I mentioned before, we had the chance to share in groups, not only one individual reading the same, but more people like having a look at it. Yeah, I also shared it with some of my colleagues, my colleague teachers, and we had the opportunity to post. Of course, if you go and check, I posted the website there, and you will see that there are details that need to be checked, that need to be corrected, but this is the process. Writing is all the time an ongoing process. Even when, I don't know, publishing a paper, an academic paper, we know that even publishing houses have books and all of that, and they have mistakes, they have aspects to improve. So it was guided through these, and at the end, socializing, we compile all the writing on these websites, on the final portfolios, and we created, like, all the links are available there, so we shared it with the community. Yes, so in this case, the Universidad Nacional, but as I'm doing here, I'm sharing it with you. So I think that, well, to some extent, I hope that I answered a little bit your question, and I can go like a little bit more in detail into this. Assessment, okay, that was mentioned, and Jade, you had another one.
Yeah, there was about the level of proficiency, if it was
Okay.
important in these type of projects.
Yes, thank you for that. Well, the level of proficiency is going to change all the time. Yes, so here we are about 60 people or more. We all have a different proficiency level. So we need to know, for example, in this case, the characteristics of each one of our students, the individual itself, or him, for example, learning styles, yes, skills. What sort of bilingual is that person? If it is a passive bilingual, for example, if it is an active bilingual, if it is a dominant bilingual, yes, what is the relationship between that bilingual in his or her L2 and the L1, for example? That's going to be important. So what I think is that we shouldn't be concerned about the level of proficiency that our students have, because they already know. And as we say with words, we build the world and we construct using words. So if we follow that idea, students can construct, students can create, students can develop. We can also follow, for example, these perspectives, I don't know, the traditional perspective of Vygotsky, yeah, or the +1 input, and we can develop it. So each student has an individual process. It is our challenge to be able to recognize those individual processes, yes? If maybe at a time we want to have them all at the same level, like all of you are going to be, I don't know, certified that you're a B2 or a B1 or so on. But no, even if, for example, here we are C1, C2s, I don't know, whatsoever, we have different levels of proficiency. So it changes. So we need to, when we think about proficiency, I do consider that we have to look at it in detail. Like, what are you referring to? Which skill? What sort of bilingual? What is the learning style? Maybe people are shy, for example, but they are experts doing other things. Yeah. Maybe writing is not the strength, but maybe speaking is. So, well, I would say that. So we shouldn't be worried about the proficiency level. We can work with children. If you check the YouTube channel, you will see experiences with children, like developing their skills, and with adults, for example. So yeah, I think that those may be my comments right now. And thank you for your questions and for your comments. We can continue talking about them.
All right. I think we still have time for one last question. I'm going to take advantage of the time, of course. Would you share a bit more about apps and platforms to post portfolios, and which could give insights of interaction? And of course, everyone here is thanking for your cooperation and your answers.
All right. Well, so thank you all for being here. Okay. Well, so apps, and in this case, well, we follow this website designed by Jonathan. So if Jonathan, you're here, well, so next step is to be able to post and comment, for example. That's one, like creating their own website. I think that, for example, using blogs is also useful. In that sense, I would recommend creating websites like Wix, for example, or WordPress is also a good idea. If you are thinking about like smaller projects, Padlet can be useful. We can create Padlets using different posts, for example, or linkings, okay, like having my in my project, like a student, you can click and you can go to another site. Yeah, so using this can be also a possibility. I recently heard about a website like to comment. I don't remember the name. Maybe if you can send me an email, I can find it, which is about you can post and people can comment on it. I do not remember. Maybe somebody knows. Can type there in the chat. And I think that those are going to be useful. There is maybe a limitation, is like a constraint here, and it is the storage capacity of the websites, for example. We have limited access. Yeah. So in the website that Jonathan developed, for example, that was a constraint. We couldn't upload all the audios, but there are other sources that we can use. So I can mention those for now. If you message me, well, I can find the information I heard recently to continue working. And I think that we also need to be responsible with the information. Maybe we post online. So for example, using a Google Docs, I remember right now, Professor Mora, or Alberto, sharing a link with useful resources. Yes, and people adding there. So if we are responsible with it, I think that it's possible to comment. Or maybe if you're a teacher and you want to share with me, we are together and we talk about the project and your students comment on my students' work and the opposite. So that's also a possibility. All right, I think that, well, thank you
Yeah,
for
I
all your
think so.
questions and for all your comments.
Okay.
I'm
All
seeing the
right.
chat here, another one by Angelica.
Yeah. If you want to take it like in the last minute.
Okay, well, so here in this last minute, thank you, Angelica, for bringing that one. Yes, it's interesting. We need to understand which are the languages first, I think. We need to understand what is the origin of those languages, if they are linked, like in terms of their origin, Romance languages, for example, Germanic languages. There are important studies about neuropsychology there, what happens with the brain, for example. Switching, and there is an issue developed by Professor Ángela Erazo in the Universidad de Paraíba in Brazil, and she talks about intercomprensión, yeah? So what happens in the case of Brazil when students are learning English, but at the same time Spanish, and they use Portuguese. So there are many more issues, but I would say is what matters here is the opportunity to communicate, to be able to speak, to be able to use the language, to not if we are using the verb to be, or if I use a word in French or in German. No, I think that we can, the world is multilingual, our country is multilingual. So we need to welcome all of these experiences in our classes, I think. So, well, Angelica, if you want, as time's up now, so you can message me and we can continue talking about this, which is a topic I also really like and I'm interested into that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Felipe, very much for your presentation. As you can see, everyone here is super connected now, and of course, there is one more question, and there are many comments, and of course, there are many people thanking you as well for your presentation. And many of them agree. I agree with many of them in which they say that thank you very much for sharing. And actually, this is the right space for us to share what we are doing. In the meantime, because as you also mentioned, we are going to continue to share at the ASOCOPY conference. So same invitation as Felipe introduced you to do, please register for ASOCOPY, and we're going to have the possibility to see you all there presenting and of course learning and sharing all these type of activities. Thank you all very much for once again joining us, and I will see you again in 1 week. I don't want to tell you who the person is because you already know it. We already shared with you the newsletter last week, and also you have all the information in our website. So I will see you all next Thursday at 5 in the afternoon. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Okay, so thank you all, and bye-bye. Nice to see you here. Thank you, Jair. Thank you, ASOCOPY and the board of directors for this invitation.
Not a problem. Our pleasure. Felipe, have a great afternoon. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye, everyone.
Goodbye.